Hi, in this video I want to share strategies for library research for your dream career paper. In particular, I'm going to focus on how research is an art form that requires a major investment of time and experimentation with different techniques, and I'm going to explore the importance of asking for help, contacting and working with a research librarian. So let's remember the purpose of this project. We're looking for reasons that people in our dream career work, and we're also trying to explore which skills they use from our general ed outcomes and how they use them. So I want to start off with the databases that the library offers that I think could be useful. Now, before we even do this, I want to say that I think the best two resources you're going to find are over at the Career Center, the Eureka database and the Career Cruising database. But I think the library has some supplemental databases that can be really productive for you, and we're going to take a look at a few of them right now. Oh, went back a page. Sorry about that. All right. So, the Vocational and Career Collection is an EBSCO website that I think is EBSCO database that's particularly useful. There's also a vocational biographies page that is good, although you also can find it in the Career Center. The advantage here is you don't need the password. The National Newspapers Corps is another database that I'm quickly going to show you that I think you might find useful. So from the library homepage, you're going to look for the databases function, and we're going to go to databases by subject. So once again, I'm on the library homepage, look at articles and databases, databases by subject. You're going to see under news and business a site that I think can be pretty useful. It's called National Newspapers Corps. It features articles from the New York Times, the LA Times, and the Wall Street Journal, and you can do some really cool searching there for the kind of things that you'll find in newspapers, which is current press coverage of what's happening in different careers, often includes profiles and interviews with people pursuing especially innovative careers. We're not going to spend much time there now, though. I'd like to take you down here to this education, career, and biography cluster and zoom in on the vocational and career collection. The first two things here are about education, not particularly helpful for us now, ERIC and professional development, but the vocational and career collection is pretty cool because it gathers together all the EBSCO resources, which are huge, that are focused on vocational and career work. So if you recall, I put my dream down as a housing lawyer, and I'm just going to type that in and see what that gets me. And I go in and some interesting articles: Clamor for Compassion, Tipping the Scales in Housing Courts, the Future of Housing Related Jobs. Looks like some interesting stuff there. Making Empty Homes Less Inviting. That sounds like stuff that would be cool background material or cool specific examples related to my career. Stories about particular projects or accomplishments by housing lawyers that could be interesting. So that's just a quick example of how you might dive in here. I could try putting quotations around these two words, see if I get a different set. I could put housing and lawyer. I could try different things. If I'm not sure what the best search tools are, I can go over to the help menu and get suggestions about what kind of operators to use and how to structure my searches. But I think just jumping in there and typing in different ways of saying the career that you're exploring is the way to get really good material here. So that's a good example of a research database that's in our library that could be a powerful supplement to what you've already been finding. Once you've done some work with the databases, the next thing is to try the catalog. And our library electronic collection is huge. It's like 150,000 titles. And a lot of times if you play around with different searches, you can find some really cool stuff in there. If you do find an interesting book, you want to check for the subject terms, because those terms in turn might help you find some cool resources. So again, it's the idea of testing different phrasings, see where they take you, try it with operators like and, try it with quotes, and also taking resources, titles, captions, subheadings you find, subject terms that you find as you explore, and retyping them in as your search terms and see what you get. So let's take a quick look at how I might do that from the library page. So I go back to the library page, and now I'm looking for books and media, and I'm going to click on catalog, and again I'm going to try my dream search, and I'm going to just try housing law and see what I get. Excuse me. When I call that up, I scroll down. At first, it doesn't look like there's much of interest. So I've got to scroll down, and then some interesting things start emerging. This idea of saving the neighborhood and racially restrictive covenants. And if I scroll down further, there's an interesting thing here about homelessness. And so see if there's interesting connections there with the law. If I scroll down further, I find this is kind of interesting, the idea of home in law, displacement and dispossession. That's a book that looks like it has interesting connections to my dream job. I also think this public nature of private property text looks kind of interesting. So I might sort of click on one of these and check what kind of subject terms do I get? Right of property. That could be interesting. I'm going to click and go back and see if I find any other interesting subheadings. Again, the book that interested me was this displacement and possession book. Let's check that one, see what that does. Right to housing, so there's another variation, and I could enter those options and explore. I also could do the same thing with the saving the neighborhood idea. When I was fishing around before, one of the ideas that I found in a reference to one of my books was public service law. So I want to try to enter that one, or public interest law, I'm sorry, public interest law, see where that takes me. And that's something I found as I was fishing around. In fact, this is the book I found that interested me, The Public and the Law. And that sounds a little more general than the other texts I was looking for, but still I think it might have interesting ideas. So specific searches that are connected to my major, my career, my dream career. Also though, using subject headers to take me in new directions. So this one has an interesting subject, law and philosophy. So using the different subject headers to take me in new directions is a cool idea too. And thinking both in terms of general and specific texts. And with those ideas, you can find some pretty cool stuff in the catalogs. Before I leave the library page, I'd like to go back for a second and show you something really important, which is this box over here that you can find in all sorts of places on almost every page that offers you links to a librarian. And in particular, you can use live chat to reach out to people. Librarians are librarians or other librarians from other libraries who are on duty. And so I think that that's a really fun resource, and I am going to require everybody to contact a research librarian. I encourage you to do it to face, but here's an easy way to do it online. So once you've done some research, you've looked at some databases, you've looked at the catalog. Earlier in the week you looked at Career Center resources, I hope in particular Eureka and Career Cruising, which I'm getting a lot of feedback from students is very helpful. Those two databases are very helpful for them. Once you've done that, now it's time to reach out to a research librarian, because you've explored a bit on your own and now you want to get some extra help to refine what you're doing, maybe find even cooler stuff than what you've found. And you want to reach out to a librarian, hopefully in person, but online is fine. And when you're talking to them, yes, you want their help finding specific sources. Here's what I've done. Am I missing anything? Do you have any ideas? Could you help me with something I don't seem to be finding? Those are the kind of questions you could ask. What I want you to do when they give you those answers, though, is not just focus on the content they give you, but also on the techniques they're using, and see if you can use some of those techniques in your own research. Finally, it's really important to document your contact with the librarian. Who did you talk to and when? Because I will be asking you follow-up questions about that. If you're an online student, I'll ask you to do that in your weekly journal post to me. If you're an on-site student, I'll ask you in class to do a little journal write about your experience with a research librarian. Don't forget to document all your research work, as I did with the Career Center work. For the library and web work, I'm asking you to do a paragraph on your process. How did it go? What worked? What didn't? What was good? What was useless? And then also documenting your MLA citations. What sources did you find that you think you might want to be able to use? Put them into the MLA format right from the get-go, and you'll never lose that material. You'll always be able to go back and find it. I'll see you in a little while when you go on to my lecture about exploring the web for career-related resources.